we're very used to seeing hoplites in their full armoured variant. It's very rare that we get to see a hoplite go from a citizen to a soldier. That's exactly what we're going to do today. Behind me, I've got my whole panoply laid out in order of how we put it on, and we will go through each piece and go from a citizen to a citizen soldier. So I'd like to thank you for suggesting this video to me, as many of you have asked me to do a sort of panoply overview video, so I thought I'd put that into an arming video as well, so we can see how a hoplite of approximately the 5th century can be armed. So what I'm wearing is a chlamys or cloak. Now this particular style is more of a sunshade as opposed to a warmth item, as it's very thin and more shades from the sun. Under that I have the near universal chiton, worn basically by every single male Greek throughout the ancient Greek world. You can see that in my hand I have what's called a bacterium, which is a type of staff that is commonly associated with the Spartans, and on my head I have what is called a pikassos, which is essentially a sun cap. So this is essentially what a Spartan warrior would be wearing when he's not fighting, which is frankly a majority of the time. That's one thing that's very important as well when we look at the world of reenactment. Many people are very fast and very focused on getting really nice armour, but for a majority of the time that you're actually at an event, you're really not in armour, and this sort of civilian kit, your camp kit, is vitally important to portraying an accurate portrayal of a historical person. That's enough rambling for now. Let's go on to the armouring stage, where we will start from the bottom at the greaves and armour up until I'm fully armoured. As you can imagine, leg protection is some of the most important areas that a hoplite can be covered, as the aspis, or the very large round shield, covers most of the body. Now these greaves are made by Adam Mazir in Poland, and they go on in a little bit of a weird way. So you'll see that there's no strapping system. They actually self-clamp. Now it's a little bit uncomfortable to put on, but they actually stay on really well. So as you can see, they sort of slide on and they self-clamp around the back of the legs. And of course, you have to do that for the other one as well. Now, once the greaves are on, I can actually put on my sandals, because you can't put on greaves over sandals, which is sometimes a little bit annoying at an event when you don't put your greaves on straight away. You have to take off and unlace all of your shoes, put the greaves on, and then put the sandals back on. But it's really not that big of a deal. So that's my lower body done. Now for most of the panoply, I can actually do it by myself. But for the cuirass, it is really helpful to have someone help you, whether that would be, most likely in a Spartan's case, a helot, or even just another hoplite. Once the cuirass is on, the next element is actually the sword. Now this specific one here is what we would call a xiphos, or in Greek, kizifos, and this is a sort of very small 13-inch stereotypical Spartan blade. Simply, just like every other sword, swings over the shoulder. The one thing that you might notice is that it actually hangs very high on my body as opposed to down on the waist. Now there's actually a very reasonable reason as to why that's the case, and that's because if you're pressing the orthismos, or the push when armies clash, if you need to draw a sword if you lose your spear, it's a lot easier to grab it from up here than it is anywhere down here, because you're so compressed. So that is why we see the sword strung so high on the chest. Now after the sword is perhaps the star of the show, the helmet. In this case, the Hermione Corinthian with a transverse crest. This helmet was custom made to my size by Historical Recreation Art, who I would very much recommend if you're looking at getting Corinthian helmets made. They're sort of the reenactment standard of helmets. I personally chose a transverse crest because I like them more, and there's also some evidence that points to the fact that it was an original Spartan crest design, and to fit with the whole Spartan aesthetic, I think it looks really cool. So that's it for the armour. Next is the shield. Perhaps the most important part of the Hoplite kit is the aspis. Now this shield is approximately 3 feet or 36 inches in diameter, and something that's very interesting is actually the layout on the inside. Now perhaps the first thing that you'll notice is these ropes which go around the inside of the shield. Now we get many questions about these ropes, and unfortunately we can't really answer what they were for. Some people speculate that they're a carrying cord, you could wear it as a backpack, and some even just as their decoration. Then something else that you may notice is the paw packs, or the armband in the centre, is slightly off-centred. Now this isn't necessarily always the case, but we do see some evidence of essentially what I've done with this shield here, where the paw packs is slightly shifted up and to the right. Now what this does is when you wear it, actually puts more of the shield coming off to the left, which creates a stronger overhang for the phalanx, and also positions your hand closer to the rim, which gives you more shield mobility. But this wasn't always the case, you do see some centered as well. Now this shield I made with strips of wood following the Vatican shield loosely, which is an archaeological find, and this is weighing in at about 16 pounds, which is unfortunately on the heavier side of the historical shields, which typically like to sit at around 13 pounds, but is still in the historical range. Now as you can see, the shield being off-centered does make more of the shield come out behind me, which would then protect the man to my left in the shield wall. And then the dory, the primary weapon of the Hoplite, they're approximately 8-foot long spear. And once all that's on, you have then gone from citizen to citizen soldier, and you're ready to go and fight the Persians or the rest of the Greeks. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and learnt something. I'd also like to take the time to thank our members at this moment, Bobby, Joe, Jeff. Thank you so much for your support. It really does mean a lot. Thank you very much for watching this video, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.